Hey everybody, it's Jenny Cassill. Now that we're no longer required to use copier codes on our various copiers, you might want to add a little bit of security so that files don't just pop out accidentally when you send them to a computer, or that somebody might accidentally open and print your files by mistake. Here's how you can do that. You can even reuse your old copy code if you want. So I have a letter of recommendation here. It's the kind of thing that I don't necessarily want somebody else to accidentally print. I'm going to want to print it on letterhead, so I want to make sure that I get the right paper in the right place. So I don't want this to just pop out willy-nilly when somebody else is using the printer. So when I go to my print screen, you'll see right here it lists which printer you're using. So in this case, I'm sending it to the library copier because it's the closest for making this video. And I'm going to choose printer properties right here. This is the same action you're going to take regardless of what printer you're using and regardless of what program you're using. That printer properties is where you're going to start. A screen will pop up, and this screen looks different depending on what machine you're actually sending this to. The workroom copier or the big copier pops up a really big window because you can control all sorts of features. You can add staples here. Some machines have hole punchers built in. I don't know that ours do, but there's all sorts of actions that you can take here. You can change your double side. You can change it to color or black and white if it's a color printer. This is a screen you can muck around with, but we're going to look at job handling. So right here, it says job handling. This is going to be the same no matter what printer or copier you're using. So normally when you open this, it looks like this. If it's just your sort of regular printer, that's why your pages print out immediately. Your standard copier, that retention box is checked by default. So your files are waiting on the copier in a little folder with your name on them. But now with no codes, anybody can open that folder. So I want to add a password. From what I can tell, a 5-digit password is required. So here's my password, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Check it. That's pretty awesome. Now when I click OK, it's going to save that setting, and when I click print, it's going to store that file, and it will prompt me for that specific password when I go over to the copier. So you could reuse your old copy code. Most of those are 5 digits. You can make up a code depending on what the situation is and remember it when you go down there. That's entirely up to you, but here's how it looks. So I'm going to go to click print, and we'll go see what happens next.
So here we are at the copier, and you can see, because there's no code required, and when I come over here, it's set to copy. So over here though, we've got buttons on the side, and I'm going to choose print on this particular copier. Some of them it's a digital interface, right, where you're going to choose print. And you'll see here is a folder, and when I try to access that, it asks me for my PIN. So let's put in my fancy code. I put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there you go. I now can access my file to choose to print it. I can choose my copies from here. I can choose to print and delete or print and save, or I can just delete the file directly, which is what I'm going to do since I don't need this print. So there you go. That's what it looks like on the screen.
Printing in Google looks a little bit different because they've got a slightly different interface than Microsoft does. So if I wanted to print this letter as a Google Doc here, instead I'm going to look and see, make sure I've got the printer that I'm going to use. Good, so this is a public copier. And then I'll have to click on more settings down here. I'm going to go ahead and move my face. If I look down at the very bottom of this screen, you'll see that there's a little place that says print using system dialog. You can do Control-Shift-P to get there, or there's a little link. When I click on this, it opens a window to select a printer. I'm going to make sure that's the printer I meant. So now I'm operating in Microsoft. I'm operating within Windows now instead of operating solely within Google. So this right here, this is the copier I wanted to use, and I'm going to select preferences, just like we chose printer preferences when we printed from a Word document. When I click on that, I get to this printing preferences screen, and I'm going to do the same thing I did before. Come over to job handling. I'm going to say I would like this job to be stored on the copier, and I'd like to add a password. And to shake things up, let's do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh my goodness, so exciting. Or you could put in your original copy code, or I'm a big fan of using the date sometimes as necessary. Same thing, I'm going to click OK, and now I can click print, and it sent my file to the printer, and it will prompt me to enter that passcode when I get there.